Hello and welcome to the continuation of the environmentally important site series. In this series, we are discussing all the environmentally important sites and the protected areas that are important from the UPSC as well as other state public service commission exam point of view. In today's session, in the today's session as well as in the next session, in these two sessions, we will be discussing all the important environmentally important and protected sites that are located in the northeast of India in our northeastern states. So till now we have covered the important environmental sites that are located in the state of Assam. So for today's discussion as well as for the next discussion, we will be skipping all the important sites that are in the state of Assam and we will not take Assam into consideration. So for today's session as well as for the next session, we will be discussing the environmentally important sites that are located in the state of Sikkim, in Arunachal Pradesh, in Nagaland, in Manipur, in Mizoram, in Tripura, and in the state of Meghalaya. Okay. So in today's discussion, we will be discussing about all the biosphere reserves that are there in these 7 states, along with the all the important national parks. And now when we say about the important protected areas or the important environmental sites, so these sites includes the tiger reserves that are in the state, the elephant reserves that are in the state, the biosphere reserves, the Ramsar wetland sites. So tiger reserves that are protected under the Project Tiger, that are declared under Project Tiger, elephant reserves declared under Project Elephant, biosphere reserves. There are Ramsar wetland sites that are protected by the Ramsar Convention, declared under Ramsar Convention. There are World Heritage Sites declared by UNESCO, and these contain both the natural as well as the mixed site. So in India, we have only one UNESCO World Heritage mixed site, and that is in the state of Sikkim, that is the Kanchenjunga National Park. Then there are biodiversity heritage sites that are declared under the Biological Diversity Act of 2002. The marine protected areas, there will be none in today's discussion because eastern states do not have coastal or the marine areas. Then there are national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, conservation reserves, community reserves, all declared and protected under the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. So starting with the first important site of today's discussion, that is the Kanchenjunga Biosphere Reserve. It is situated in the state of Sikkim in the eastern Himalayas. So it is situated in the Sikkim and at the border between Sikkim as well as Nepal. So one half of the Kanchenjunga peak. So we know that Kanchenjunga is the tallest peak in India, but it is shared by Nepal. So one face of the peak is towards Nepal and the other face of the peak is towards Sikkim. This includes the Kanchenjunga National Park, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site that was declared in 2016. So this Kanchenjunga Biosphere Reserve also comprises of the Kanchenjunga National Park, and this Kanchenjunga National Park is the only mixed UNESCO World Heritage Site that is in India, and it was declared in 2016. The geographical features of this Kanchenjunga Biosphere Reserve, the most prominent one includes that it is dominated by the Mount Kanchenjunga, which is India's highest and world's third highest peak, and it has altitudinal variation from 1200 meters to 8500 meters. The major rivers that originate or that transverse through this Kanchenjunga Biosphere Reserves are the Teesta and the Rangit rivers. They originate in the Kanchenjunga Biosphere Reserve, and it contains glaciers known as the Zemu Glacier. So the important geographical features that we have to keep in mind is that about the mountain, Mount Kanchenjunga, the rivers that is Teesta and Rangit, as well as the glacier that is the Zemu Glacier. Now discussing the type of vegetation, it has distinct altitudinal zones. So along with the altitude, so it has altitudinal variation starting from 1200 meters to about 8500 meters. So along with this altitude variation, so there are different type of vegetation along this altitude. Starting with the subtropical broadleaf forest that is below 1800 meters. Then there are going up going up upper in the going in the upper altitude, we have the temperate forests. Further above, we have the subalpine coniferous forest, the alpine meadows and scrubs, and at the top there is perpetual snow and glaciers at the highest elevations. And it is also rich in medicinal plants and orchids. Then discussing the type of wildlife it has, so it has endangered species like the snow leopard, the red panda, the musk deer, Himalayan tar, as well as the Tibetan wolf. The birds includes the blood pheasant, which is the state bird of the Sikkim. So blood pheasant is a bird which is the state bird of Sikkim, and it also has Himalayan monal as well as the Steyr trophogan, and it has exceptionally high diversity of butterflies and moths and the other insects. The significance is that this Kanchenjunga Biosphere Reserve was declared a biosphere reserve in the year 2000, and it later on became part of UNESCO World Network of Biosphere Reserve in the year 2018. Prior to that, it has the Kanchenjunga National Park, which is the only mixed natural heritage site in the country. It lies in the Himalaya Global Biodiversity Hotspot. So in India, we have four parts of the four biodiversity hotspot, and Himalaya is one among them. Now, this is culturally sacred landscape because of the presence of this Mount Kanchenjunga is considered sacred in many of the religions and beliefs. And there are Lepcha and Bhutia tribes. Now, along with the geographical features and the wildlife, the next most important thing about a protected area or about an environmentally important site or the protected area is the presence or the inhabitants of the local communities or the local tribes. So here the local tribes are the Lepcha tribes. The important tribal groups are the Lepcha group as well as the Bhutia tribes. And the Mount Kanchenjunga is revered as a deity among the members of these tribes. This is also a symbol of ecological and cultural heritage of Sikkim, and that is why it has been declared as a mixed heritage site. Mixed, that is both ecological, the natural, as well as cultural. Moving on to the next biosphere reserve, that is the Nokrek Biosphere Reserve, which is situated in the state of Meghalaya. So it is situated in West Garo Hills district of Meghalaya. So it is situated in Garo Hills of Meghalaya and lies close to the Tura town. The geographical features includes it is part of the Garo Hills range. Okay, so the most important geographical feature of the Nokrek Biosphere Reserve is the presence of Garo Hills, and the highest peak is the Nokrek Peak, which is 1400-meter in elevation. So here we have Garo, Khasi, Jaintia, three hills which are an extension of the plateau itself. And the highest peak among them is the Nokrek Peak in the Garo Hills, and this Nokrek Peak gives the biosphere reserve its name. The important rivers that transfers through this biosphere reserve are the Simsang, the Ganol, the Dangrang, the Didak. All of them originate in the biosphere reserve, and it is also a designated core area for the Nokrek National Park. So just like we had the Kanchenjunga National Park in the Kanchenjunga Biosphere Reserve, we also have a National Park in the Nokrek Biosphere Reserve. Discussing the type of vegetation, it has tropical semi-evergreen and wet evergreen forest because it is a region that experiences very heavy rainfall. It is rich in wild citrus species and is considered a genetic progenitor of cultivated citrus fruits. And it has dense canopy with bamboo, cane, and medicinal plants. Then discussing the wildlife, it is home to the red panda, which is the state animal of Meghalaya and has been reintroduced in the state. Other species includes the Asian elephants, the Hulok gibbons, the only ape species that is found in the country, the clouded leopards, the marbled cat, serow, and hornbills. Along with this, it has also a rich diversity of orchids as well as endemic flora. Discussing the significance, it is a UNESCO listed biosphere reserve, so it was declared under a part of the UNESCO Man and Biosphere program in the year 2009 and acts as a gene sanctuary for the citrus fruits. So this Nokrek Biosphere Reserve is linked to the citrus fruits. So if you get a question in the examination, so you have to link the citrus fruit cultivation or the gene sanctuary of citrus fruit to the Nokrek Biosphere Reserve or Nokrek National Park. Now, it is also important to Garo tribe. The important tribal group here is the Garo tribe, who have cultural and livelihood ties with the forest. And it supports the traditional shifting cultivation or the jhum cultivation and the ethno-medical practices. The next biosphere reserve that we have is the Dihang Dibang Biosphere Reserve in the state of Arunachal Pradesh. So it is situated in the state of Arunachal Pradesh and it's spread across the Dibang Valley, Upper Siang and West Siang districts. The geographical features of this Dihang Dibang Biosphere Reserve is that it encompasses parts of the eastern Himalayas. So it is situated in the eastern Himalayas, and the major rivers that transfers or flow through this the Hang Dibang Biosphere Reserve are the Siang River, that is the Upper Brahmaputra, the Dibang, as well as the Lohit rivers. And it has an altitudinal variation from 500 meter to greater than 5,000 meters above the sea level. And the important hills that are included in this biosphere reserve are the Mishmi and Abhor hills. Discussing the type of vegetation, it has a wild altitudinal variation that starting from subtropical in the over lower latitude altitude, then temperate in the upper, then subalpine in the upper, and at the top there is alpine type of vegetation. So from growing from lower altitude to the upper altitude, the type of vegetation shows an altitudinal variation. Then the tropical forests are at the lower elevation, alpine meadows and the rhododendrons are at the higher altitudes, and it has also rich medicinal plants and orchids. So please note that northeast Indian states, be it the state of Sikkim, Arunachal, or the Nokrek Biosphere Reserve in the state of Meghalaya, all of them have very good orchid cultivation. Okay, and Arunachal Pradesh is especially is highlighted for its orchid biodiversity or the diversity of orchids. Then discussing the wildlife, it has endangered species like the Mishmi takin, the red panda, snow leopard, musk deer, and Asiatic black bear. Other fauna includes the tigers, sometimes are also seen here, the leopards, goral, hornbills, and numerous butterfly species. And along with this, it has a very high bird biodiversity and the avian diversity. It was notified as a biosphere reserve in the year 1998 and is a part of the Indo-Burma Global Biodiversity Hotspot. It is inhabited by the tribal groups or the tribal communities. Most important of them are the Idu Mishmi, the Adi, and the Tibetan tribes with rich cultural and traditional ecological knowledge. And this, the Hang Dibag Biosphere Reserve, is important for ecotourism, watershed protection, and conservation of high altitude biodiversity. After discussing the three important biosphere reserve, now let's discuss about the national parks that are in these northeastern states. So starting with the Balpakram or Balpakram National Park, which is situated in the state of Meghalaya. So it is situated in the South Garo Hills district of Meghalaya and lies close to the Indo-Bangladesh border. So it is lying close to the India-Bangladesh border and is part of the Garo Hills Plateau region. Okay, so we have seen that Garo Khasi Jaintia. There are three group of hills which are an extension of the Plateau region. So this Balpakram National Park is located in the Garo Hills. It is also known as the land of eternal winds and contains deep gorges, cliffs, caves, and natural limestone formations. Okay, so this natural limestone formation is the highlight of the Balpakram National Park. The important river that transfers through this Balpakram National Park is the Simsang River. Discussing the vegetation here, it has tropical and subtropical forest and is dominated by evergreen and semi-evergreen forest because this entire region of Meghalaya, it witnesses very heavy rainfall. It has rich medicinal herbs and rare orchids and carnivorous plants. Now discussing the wildlife, so it has species of red panda, Asian elephant, Bengal tiger, clouded leopard, and marbled cat. The other fauna includes the wild water buffalo, gaur, serow, barking deer, and several bat species. It was notified a national park in the year 1986 and is culturally revered by the Garo tribe. Okay, so the important tribal group here is the Garo tribe, and it is part of the Indo-Burma biodiversity hotspot. Now, this Balpakram National Park is important for both ecological conservation and cultural heritage because the Garo tribes, they believe it to be the abode of the spirits of the dead. Okay. Moving on to the next, one of the most important national parks in the country, that is the Kibul Lamjau National Park. And over the past years, UPSC have repeatedly asked questions on this Kibul Lamjau National Park. So it is situated in the Bishnupur district of Manipur. So it is situated in Manipur and lies in the southwestern part of the Loktak Lake. And it is highlighted by the presence of the Lok Lake, which is also a Ramsar site. Now, the most peculiar thing, the most important fact to note here is that it is the world's only floating national park and it is formed on Fumdis. So it has, we have Loktak Lake, and on this Loktak Lake, we have the floating Fumdis, and Fumdis are the floating biomass of vegetation, soil, and organic matter. So there is a Loktak Lake that we have declared as a Ramsar wetland site, and on that Loktak Lake there are these floating biomass of vegetation, soil, and organic matter. So this entire floating biomass, that is known as FUMDIs. Okay, and that is why this entire this because of these FUMDIs that are floating on the Loktak Lake, so this has been called as the world's only floating national park. So Loktak Lake is a Ramsar site and part of this entire ecosystem. Discussing about the vegetation, so it has wetland as well as swamp type of vegetation, and there are floating meadows dominated by grasses, aquatic plants, and reeds. And it provides habitat for the aquatic flora and submerged hydrophytes. Now, the wildlife, discussing about the wildlife, so it is the exclusive home. Okay, the most important species to note here is the Sangai deer. Okay, that is Manipur's brow antlered deer, which is the also the state animal of Manipur. So Sangai, that that is locally known as Sangai, the Manipur's brow antlered deer, is the state animal of Manipur, and it is exclusively limited, or it is found, it is an endemic species to this Kebul Lamjau National Park around the Loktak Lake. Other species includes the hog deer, the wild boar, the Asiatic golden cat, the civets, and primates. The birds includes the East Himalayan migratory birds, the waterfowls, and the raptors. It was declared a national park in the year 1977 and is the last natural habitat of the endangered Sangai deer. Okay, so it is the last remaining natural habitat of the Sangai deer. It is integral to the cultural identity of the Manipuri people because a Sangai deer, which is this is also known as the dancing deer. The other name of the informal name of Sangai deer is the dancing deer. It supports the livelihoods of the fishing communities dependent on the Loktak Lake. The next national park that we have to discuss is the Shiroi National Park, or this is also known as Shirui National Park. It is also situated in the state of Manipur in the Ukhrul district, and it covers the Shirui Kashong or the Shiroi Hills range. So it has an altitude of about, because it is located on the Shirui Hills range, it has an altitude of about 1500 meters to 2500 meters above the sea level, and it is characterized by rolling hills, meadows, and seasonal streams. Discussing the type of vegetation, it has subtropical and the temperate forest, and it is noted for the rare Shirui lily. So the rare plant of Shirui lily, which is endemic and the state flower of Manipur, blooms only in May or June. So this Shiroi National Park has got its name from Shiroi Hills and the Shirui lily. And the peculiar thing about this Shirui lily that it is endemic to the Shiroi Hills and is the state flower of the state of Manipur, and it blooms only once during the months of May or June. This national park is also rich in orchids and rhododendrons and medicinal plants. Discussing about the wildlife, so it has uh, leopard population, it has wild boar, sambar, and barking deer population, as well as the birds includes the tragopans, the pheasants, as well as the other high altitude avifauna. It was declared a national park in the year 1982. The Shirui Lily Festival, okay, is celebrated annually, promoting the ecotourism and cultural heritage. So another point to note for the, especially for the prelims examination, is that the Lily Festival is associated with the Shirui lily, which is the state flower of the state of Manipur. Okay, it is important to the Naga tribe who consider the hills sacred. So this Shirui Hills entire landscape is considered sacred by the Tangkhul Naga tribe. That is an important tribal group that inhabit the region, and it serves as unique botanical heritage site due to its endemic lily. So this Shirui lily becomes extremely important for the examination point of view. Next national park we have is the Murlen National Park, that is situated in the state of Mizoram. So Murlen National Park is situated in northeastern Mizoram and lies close to the Indo-Myanmar border. It has altitude of about 400 to 1800 meter above the sea level, and the terrain, it has steep hills, cliffs, and deep gorges. it receives very high rainfall and creating a dense forest cover. So now if it is getting a very high rainfall, then the forests are dense and are the rainforest or the evergreen type of forests are there. And this is sometimes called the land of no daylight because the sunlight barely penetrates due to the thick canopy cover. Now it has very high rainfall. So because of the high rainfall, there are evergreen forests or the tropical forests. And these tropical forests, their canopy is so dense that they do not allow the sunlight to fall on the ground. And that is why the entire land, it seems that the entire land doesn't have any daylight. So it is also known as the land of no daylight, this Murlen National Park. Discussing the vegetation, so it has because of the presence of because of the dense higher rainfall, it has the tropical, semi-evergreen, and subtropical forest, which are rich in orchids, bamboo, cane, and medicinal plants. And its vegetation is comparable to the Dampa Tiger Reserve, which is an important tiger reserve that is situated in the state of Mizoram. So, in today's discussion, we will be covering the Biosphere Reserve as well as the national park. In the next discussion of the environmentally important sites in the state of in the northeastern states, we will be discussing the tiger reserves, the elephant reserves, the Ramsar wetland sites, as well as the biodiversity heritage sites. The wildlife in this Murlen National Park includes the tigers from the Baksa tiger from the Dampa Tiger Reserve, the clouded leopard, the Himalayan black bear, the wild dog, sero, barking deer, and the sambar. The birds includes the hill myna, the peacock pheasant, the Kalige pheasant, as well as the hornbills. Now, it was declared a national park in the year 1991 and has its ecological importance is that it is part of the Indo-Burma biodiversity hotspot and it lies on the Indo-Burma border. It is inhabited by the Mizo tribes who depend on the forest resources and maintain the sacred groves nearby. It is important for conservation of eastern Himalayan biodiversity and cross-border ecological connectivity. It provides a cross-border ecological connectivity between the India, between Northeast India and Myanmar or Burma. Next national park we have is the Phongpui National Park, which is situated in the Lyunglei district of Mizoram. So next we have the Phongpui National Park in the state of Mizoram. It covers area around the Phongpui Peak, which is also known as the Blue Mountain. It is the highest peak of Mizoram and lies close to the Myanmar border. So we have this Phongpui Hills, Phongpui Peak, uh, also known as the Blue Mountain, which is the highest peak in the state of Mizoram. Okay, and encompassing this Phongpui Hills or Phongpui Peak, we have the Phongpui National Park. It has altitude range from 500 to 2100 meters. The terrain includes the steep cliffs, the deep valleys, and the rolling meadows. The lofty cliffs on the western side are famous for the vultures, and it is known for the scenic views and the bluish haze around the mountain, hence the name Blue Mountain. So it's it's not like the entire mountain is bluish in color because but the views that one get from climbing on this mountain, that is the bluish haze that one observes, from which it has got its name, that is the Blue Mountain or Phangpui Hill. The vegetation is the subtropical and temperate forest and evergreen forest with oak, rhododendron, and bamboo as well as orchids. It has rich medicinal plants and some alpine meadows at the higher elevations of this Phangpui peak. The mammals include the goral, sero, the Asiatic black bear, leopard, capped langur, and slow loris. The birds include the blitz tragopan, which is the state bird of Mizoram. So this blitz tragopan or blitz tragopan is the state bird of Mizoram, is found in this Phangpui National Park, and it has hornbills, sunbirds, and rare vultures as its important bird species. It was declared a national park in the year 1992 and is important part of the Indo-Burma biodiversity hotspot. It is sacred for the Mizo tribes, which believed it to be the abode of the local deities and spirits because of the blue haze that one observes. And it supports the ecotourism and local festivals connected to the Mizo folklore. So both the national parks of the Mizoram, that is the Murlen National Park as well as the Phongpui National Park, the important tribal group here are the Mizo tribes. Then we have the Intanki National Park or the Antaki National Park, which is situated in the Peren district of Nagaland. So this Intanki National Park is situated in the state of Nagaland, and it is part of the Bareil mountain range. Okay, so the Bareil mountain range, this Entaki National Park is part of the Bareil mountain range. The important geographical feature is the Bareil mountain range, and it has hilly terrain with valleys and streams, and altitude ranges from 200 to 1000 meter. It has a tropical monsoon climate and heavy rainfall. Because of the monsoon climate and the heavy rainfall, the type of vegetation that it has is tropical and semi-tropical moist forest, and dominated by semi-evergreen forest, bamboo groves, and cane brakes. The wildlife here is the main species is the hoolock gibbon, which is the only ape species in India's northeast, as well as elephants, sloth bear, barking deer, flying squirrel, and wild dogs. So hoolock gibbon is not only the only ape species in India's northeast, it is the only ape species found naturally in India. Then there are big cats such as tiger, leopard, and clouded leopard. There are birds like the hornbills, notably the great Indian hornbill, and it was declared a national park in the year 1993. Now, it is important for the hornbill conservation of the hornbill birds, and it is often called as the hornbill capital of Nagaland. So, Nagaland as a state is pretty much linked with the hornbill bird, and this hornbill festival is also associated with the state of Nagaland. So, this hornbill capital of Nagaland is the Intaki National Park. It is culturally significant to the local tribes such as the Zeliang tribe or the Naga tribes who practice the shifting cultivation nearby, and is part of the vital part of the Indo-Burma biodiversity hotspot. Next we have is the Mawling National Park, which is situated in the Upper Siang as well as West Siang and East Siang district of Arunachal Pradesh. Okay. This Mawling National Park is situated in the state of Arunachal Pradesh. It is part of the Dibang Valley landscape. It was established in year 1986 and has an area of around 483 square kilometer. The altitude ranges from 750 to 3000 meter above the sea level, and it has a mountainous terrain with steep slopes and gorges. The major rivers that transfers through this Mawling National Park includes the Siom, Siring, and Siang, that is the tributary of the Brahmaputra River. It forms part of the Dihang Dibang Biosphere Reserve. So the Dihang Dibang Biosphere Reserve that we have already discussed, this Mawling National Park comes under the Dihang Dibang Biosphere Reserve. The type of vegetation that we found here is the subtropical temperate alpine vegetation zone due to the altitudinal variation. So just like the altitudinal variation in the Dihang Dibang Biosphere Reserve, this Mawling National Park also showcases the altitudinal variation. There are tropical evergreen forest at the lower levels. Then there are oak, pine, rhododendron forest at the mid altitudes, and then at the top altitudes there are alpine meadows at very high elevations. And it is also rich in orchids, ferns, and medicinal plants. Arunachal Pradesh as a state is very rich in orchids. Discussing the wildlife, so the main mammals here includes the red panda, the takin, sero, boral, barking deer, wild dog, and Asiatic black bear. The predators includes the tigers, the carnivores, leopards, and the snow leopards, which are found at the higher altitudes. So snow leopards are found at the higher latitudes. The birds includes the hornbills, the tragopans, the monarchs, and pheasants. The significance of this Mawling National Park is that it is a very remote and pristine landscape. And it is so remote that it has a very high conservation value because of its remoteness. And it is important for the endangered Himalayan species. The important tribal groups that inhabit the region include the Adi tribe, who depend on the shifting cultivation and forest produce. And this Mawling National Park acts as a corridor for wildlife movement in the eastern Himalayas landscape. Next, we have a very important national park, that is the Namdapha National Park, and UPSC has asked questions about this Namdapha National Park in the past as well. So this is situated in the Changlang district of Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, it is the easternmost national park in the country, and it lies close to the Indo-Myanmar border. It was declared a national park in the year 1983, and in the same year, it was declared as a tiger reserve as well. So this Namdafa National Park comprises of the Namdafa or this Namdafa Tiger Reserve. This Namdafa National Park is a part of the Namdafa Tiger Reserve. It is a very large tiger reserve, around area of around 1985 square kilometer, and is the third largest national park in India. It has an altitude range of 200 meters to 4,500 meters, and the major rivers that flow through this area includes the Nawa Dihing River, which flows through the park. The type of vegetation here includes showcases the altitudinal diversity with tropical evergreen at the bottom, and at the higher elevation or the altitude, and we have the alpine type of vegetation from at the very top. There are lowland rainforest and the temperate broadleaf forest conifers, the alpine meadows at the higher altitudes. And it is situated in the state of Arunachal Pradesh, so it is also very rich in the orchids, cane, and bamboo. Now, one of the most important fact or one of the most important pointer to keep in mind regarding the Namdafa National Park is that it is the only national park in the country, or the only protected area in the country with all four big cats. And what are the four big cats? That is the tiger, leopard, clouded leopard, and snow leopard. So it is the only tiger reserve, or is the only national park, or is the only protected area in the country that has these four big cat species. That is one tiger, leopard, snow leopard, and clouded leopard. The other mammals include the Asiatic black bear, the red panda, the hoolock gibbon, the capped langur, sambar, gaur, and wild dog. Now, the significance is that it is part of the Indo-Burma biodiversity hotspot and is home to some of the very important tribes such as the Chakma, Lisu, and Singpho tribes who depend on the forest resources. And it is known as one of the richest area of biodiversity in the country. And it is very remote also, and it is critical for both species conservation as well as the transboundary ecological linkages. Transboundary ecological linkages, that is between India and Myanmar. Next we have is the Clouded Leopard National Park, which is situated in the state of Tripura. So we have this Clouded Leopard National Park in the state of Tripura. It lies in the Sefa, Sefahi Jala Wildlife Sanctuary landscape, and the terrain includes lowland forest, lakes, wetlands, and typical to the Tripura Plateau. So it is situated on the Tripura Plateau, and the type of vegetation it has is the moist deciduous and semi-evergreen forest. It is also rich in bamboo, cane, and secondary forest growth. It has patches of coffee and rubber plantations nearby. This Clouded Leopard National Park. Now, if it is having a name of Clouded Leopard National Park, that means the flagship species here will be the clouded leopard. So it was specifically established for the clouded leopard, which is also the state animal of Tripura. And the other mammals that inhabit this national park are the leopards, cat, civets, barking bear, jungle fowl, and the wild boars. It was declared a national park in the year 2007 and is important for conservation of the elusive clouded leopard, which is listed as vulnerable by IUCN and is part of the Indo-Burma biodiversity hotspot, and it supports ecotourism and environmental education in the state of Tripura. The final national park that we'll be discussing today also lies in the state of Tripura, that is the Bison or the Rajbari National Park. Okay, Bison National Park or the Rajbari National Park. It is situated in the South Tripura district and lies within the Trishna Wildlife Sanctuary landscape. And it is close to the India-Bangladesh border. So here we have Bangladesh and here we have Tripura. So this Rajbari National Park or the Bison National Park lies close to the Indo-Bangladesh border. It is relatively smaller national park having an area of around 31.6 square kilometer. The terrain, it includes a low-lying forest, undulating hills, grassland, and water bodies, and receives heavy rainfall, contributing to the lush vegetation. Because it is receiving heavy rainfall, so the type of vegetation here is the tropical moist deciduous and semi-evergreen forest. with bamboo thickets, cane breakers, and grasslands also dominating the landscape. Now, if it is named as Bison National Park, so that means the flagship species or most important species that is in this national park is the bison, that is the Indian gaur, and it is known for the it is famous for the bison population or the Indian gaur population. The other mammals here includes the leopards, the jungle cat, the wild boar, parking deer, hulok gibbon, and the capped langur. It was declared a national park in the year 2007, just like the Clouded Leopard National Park. So both the national parks in the state of Tripura were declared in 2007. It is important for conservation of Indian bison or gaur in the northeast and is part of the Indo-Burma biodiversity hotspot. Now, this is the cultural importance. It has immense cultural importance for the local Tripuri tribes who depend on the forest and water resources. In the part two of the discussion of the important environmental sites in the northeastern states, in the next session, we will be discussing the important tiger reserves, the elephant reserves, the Ramsar wetland sites, and the important biodiversity